Let's keep talking a little bit more about Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Entertainment Weekly, they're continuing to roll out their coverage about Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're really milking this. They're really making it last. Like, I feel like back in the day, like when Anthony Bresnikan was the guy for Entertainment Weekly, it'd be like 5 stories in 5 days. Boom, 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 boom. Here they all are. Now it's like 5 stories in 5 weeks. Like, they're getting everything they can from this the story. But the headline this week is Obi-Wan Kenobi will focus on, quote, a dark time of darkness, a time of darkness in the galaxy. So the bulk of this article is made up from quotes from writer Joby Harold. This is what Joby says. It takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, in a time of darkness in the galaxy. The Empire is in the ascendancy, and all the horrors that come with the Empire are being made manifest throughout the galaxy. And the Jedi Order, as we know them, are all being wiped out. So everything that was in the prequels has crumbled. Those surviving Jedi, those that do survive, are on the run, and they're in hiding, and Vader and his Inquisitors are chasing them to the end of the galaxy. Within that hopeless, fatalistic world, we find possibly the most famous of all our surviving Jedi in hiding, struggling with that faith that defines the Jedi, and wanting to hold onto it, and hoping to regain that faith within that sort of hopeless world. Within that environment and that galaxy, his faith is tested, and he goes on a journey that allows him to travel from that character we last saw in the prequels, where McGregor really felt like he was embodying Obi-Wan Kenobi to a pretty extraordinary degree, and ends with him as the more finished article that Sir Alec Guinness gave to the world in A New Hope. And so in this very specific time in the history of Star Wars, when the Jedi are on the run, and we get to sort of stand next to and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi as he runs the gauntlet and has to survive a pretty extraordinary experience. It's interesting stuff. What we get here. I don't want to. I'm not being critical of the writer. I'm not being critical of Joby Harold, because he's saying interesting things. But at the same time, I feel like as fans, we've been saying a lot of the same things for 3 years.
Yeah.
and like, so no hate to Jody Harold, and no hate to Entertainment Weekly. Like, they're not selling the show to us. We're going to be at Celebration, or everybody listening to this, either going to be at Celebration or they're going to be following along with Celebration. They've got us. We're hooked. They're trying to sell this show to the people like, Ewan McGregor's back. Oh, that's interesting. What's happening? Ooh, dark times. Interesting. All right. Like, that's who they're selling it to. So I get it, but I also feel like we should. I feel like these are quotes that he could have said a year ago, and I feel like if he had said them a year ago, we'd be like all over them. Like, this is huge, and this, it gets to like kind of a thing I have with Lucasfilm, which is you can market these things in advance. You don't have to wait until 40 some odd days before the premiere to be saying things like this. These are the sort of things that you could say about any Obi-Wan Kenobi story set in this time period. And so I don't see why you couldn't have Joby Harold go on the Star Wars show on YouTube when that still existed, or go on, some film podcast, or come on a Star Wars podcast like this one. He wouldn't come on this one, but why they can't
ourselves short here. Come on. Joby Harold, anytime.
Or give an interview to like Slash Film or something, like, and just say something similar, and just get people like thinking and excited and feeling good about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show long in advance. And maybe the Obi-Wan Kenobi show of all the shows is the one that doesn't need people to feel good about it. People just feel good about the fact that it's happening. But I feel like there are little teases that you can roll out further in advance. You don't have to save it all for a deluge barrage at the end.
Yeah, well, and it all goes back to, I think, I guess, my frustration and just overall, I think a lot of people share my opinion here that, like, Lucasfilm has this let's just say obsession with secrecy and keeping things. And I understand a lot of stuff leaks. They want to keep things. I appreciate that they kept the lid on Grogu for so long. Like, that was great. But there is also this like overcompensation when it comes to different things. Like, I'll never forget like watching the live stream for I believe it was I know it was Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
It was the toy reveal for that. And they bring out like I think it was like the Lego, not the Lego, but the Black Series 3PO figure, which is a really cool figure. I can't believe I don't actually have that one. But basically it came with a little tiny Babu Frick.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Anthony Daniels going like, "Oh, I love Babu Frick. He's one of my favorite new characters, but I can't talk about him. I can't say anything about him. You just have to wait and see the movie." And I'm like, and then I'm like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then you watch the movie, and you're like, you could have said some things about Babu Frick, Anthony Daniels. You could have. Like, you don't have to spoil the whole movie. You don't have to give away the whole plot about the dagger and the whole thing. But you could have said something like, "Hey, he's a droid smith, whatever else. He's doing this. He lives on this planet." But like, they get so caught up in this, like every detail is a spoiler.
Yeah.
And then it just turns into, as we've talked about, like people just talking in just these weird speaks of like just saying random stuff and
saying everything but saying nothing. Like they're saying a lot of words but they don't mean anything. Yeah, that's a pretty brutal example. An even worse one is Alden Ehrenreich being interviewed and say to him, "Hey, I heard that you've they cast Donald Glover in the show or in Solo. Are you guys going to have scenes together?" And he's like, "I don't know if I can say." Like, why the hell would you cast Han and Lando in a thing if they're not going to have scenes together? And it's not even like it's like, something that, could conceivably be kept apart. It's the Han Solo movie. You don't put Lando in the Han Solo movie unless you're going to put them together. So yeah, they not everything is a spoiler. Some things could be, teased out in advance, in ways that are fun and that keep the discussion going. But oh well, whatever.
Yeah.
They clearly, they will keep bringing it up, but they clearly feel differently. So whatever. But this is what's interesting about what Harold says in this article is I find this whole idea of Obi-Wan's faith being tested, right? Because Obi-Wan in a sense is supposed to be like the ultimate Jedi. He's supposed to have like the ultimate version of Jedi faith because he goes out into the desert for 20 years and watches over this kid and still believes in him at the end. Like even Yoda in the original trilogy, Luke shows up and Yoda's like, no, I don't like you. You're not doing what I want you to do. You're too old to begin the training. Like he's not into it. But Obi-Wan believes in Luke. And even after the worst thing that could ever happen to him or really to anybody happens in Revenge of the Sith, short of death, I suppose.
Right.
Maybe a few other things. But one of the worst things that could ever happen to anybody happens to him. He still takes on this, this sacred mission, and he goes out into the desert for 20 years and basically has to live his life as a hermit. And we talked about it in the trailer. Like, he looks broken in those Tatooine scenes. He just looks like a beaten man. And I really am going to be interested in seeing how they depict Obi-Wan, and is he going to have a moment where he just says, "You know what? Who even cares? The Jedi Order, now that they're extinct, the Jedi are lionized, but strip away the accolades." And was Luke saying I'm butchering the last Jedi line, but the key line of it is the legacy of the Jedi is failure, is what Luke says. And he says earlier in that movie, it's time for the Jedi to end. I kind of feel like Obi-Wan might be in a similar place when we begin the story. And I sort of, I think this version of Obi-Wan is going to bear a lot of resemblance to grumpy old man Luke in the Last Jedi.
I think Obi-Wan's whole thing, I mean, in the prequels and the Clone Wars, I think I think he shares a lot of Anakin's frustrations with the council of what they did and all this kind of stuff. He just doesn't voice them a whole lot because he's trying to be that rock. He's trying to be that good Jedi and trying to, keep Anakin from teetering over the edge. And doing all this, I think he does see a lot of the flaws, and I think he was always a good Jedi, a good, reasonable person who saw the flaws and saw their failures. And I think being kind of at ground zero, literally with the fall of the Jedi Order, that can leave you very broken and very cynical about this. And then the like whole thing, not just self-loathing, which I think there will be a lot of that. And that's what, I think that's what a lot of what Lucas' problems was that he blamed himself, maybe rightfully so to some of it, that things went wrong because he could have done more, or he did these things wrong, and he even thought about killing his nephew for a bit. That was a big thing. And Obi-Wan's gonna have that same thing.
Will Obi-Wan have a moment in this series, like early on, like episode 1 or episode 2, where he just goes, screw it, let the kid be a moisture farmer?
I think that's going to be his thing. I think he's going to be completely lost, and he will not be about the mission. Yeah. I think he will be like, okay, why would I do this again? Why would I bring this thing? Like you could make the argument, not knowing the future, you can make the argument, hey, look, why would I put this kid's life in jeopardy? Like I already did it to Anakin. We're right back where we started. If we just left Anakin back in Mos Espa, he probably would have been better off. Yeah, he was a slave, but he would have got freed and he would have been fine. But like you come right back to Luke, he's probably thinking, why would I train this kid? And make that and create this whole mess over again.
Yeah, and I think Obi-Wan in this moment, and Luke, in that sort of pre Force Awakens Last Jedi moment, I think they share roughly the same fear, which is this descendant of Anakin Skywalker has the potential for greatness in him. Just like Anakin, just like his father or his grandfather in Ben Solo's case. But with that potential for greatness comes the potential for great evil.
Yeah.
And Anakin chose great evil. That was his choice. That's what he decided to do with his life. And so Obi-Wan might feel, as Luke did, the best thing for us to do, the best thing for the galaxy might be to prevent that kind of power from being out there. And now Luke went about it by trying to kill Ben after he had already done some training with him. Obi-Wan's version of that might be, you know what? The kid's better off growing up with his uncle, learning the version of his family legacy where his father was the navigator on a spice freighter, and just sticking around on Tatooine, farming that moisture, fixing those droids, going into Tashi Station for some power converters, and just not worrying about it, not getting out there. And something has to happen over the course of this adventure for him to go, oh, no. It's worth the risk. It's worth the risk that Luke could go down the same path. Because if he chooses not to, then the galaxy could be saved. That boy is our last hope.
And I think Star Wars has a lot to teach us in this regard of, the world is bad. The world we live in is not in great circumstances. And it's very easy to go like, well, can't do anything about it. So just keep going the way it is. And, it's not going to get any better.
It's not that I like the Empire. I hate it. But there's nothing I can do about it right now.
But you can go back to you can go back to certain characters in certain times. I look at Kanan in like right at the beginning of Rebels. He's just like, whatever. The Empire's here. I can't do anything about it. I don't want to get involved in another war. I just want to live my life and protect my family, and that's it. And Hera's all like, oh, we've got to do something because we can take down the Empire. We can do this. Luke in Last Jedi, he's not giving up. He's not saying he's like Luke is kind of doing in his weird kind of twisted way is doing a heroic thing of saying, I'm going to sacrifice my family and my friends for the sake of the galaxy because I've contributed to this cycle of violence and I'm directly contributing to it. So the only way I know how to stop it is just to pull myself out of it and to let it play out, and hopefully it will work itself out. Obi-Wan could be in a similar place. He could be like, I'm one of the reasons the Empire is such a crappy place, right? The galaxy is such a crappy place right now. What can I do to change it? And the Empire is so mighty, and so this problem is so huge. What could I possibly do to make a difference? And, just let sleeping dogs lie and go back to, hanging around this planet and watching this kid grow up. Like, I like that idea of coming back to that and going like, no, you have a specific mission. You, even in a small way, Obi-Wan doesn't save the galaxy. He doesn't there, but he's a part of that. He's one cog in the machine that leads to freedom and prosperity in the galaxy.
Yeah. So and essentially, I guess the overriding question for the series is, what is it? What's out there that can reignite the spark in Obi-Wan, where he believes not just in the Jedi or the sacred mission of his, or even Anakin or Anakin's legacy, but what makes him realize that, like, oh, I have a job to do. I have to protect this kid. There's good in this world, Mr. Frodo. Like he's gotta
Go back to that quote.
Yeah, he's gotta get out there. It's gotta get him back out there. And that's, I think, what we're gonna see 6 episodes of is Obi-Wan realizing that.